Me vedetään tänään englanniksi sitten, että jos tuntuu hankalalta, niin sitten tuntuu. Se johtuu ihan siitä, että mä oon viimeiset vuodet tehnyt englanniksi duunia, ja jos mä vedän tän suomeksi, niin on niin vitun kyllä rallifinis. Ja sitten taas toisaalta mä oon nyt ollut 2 viikkoa täällä, eli varmaan mun englanti on nyt sit ralli-english, että bear with me, my friends. Tänään puhutaan brändistrategiasta. Okay, so I'll turn into English. This is me. My name is Nita. I'm based in Hamburg, in Germany. My team calls me Viet Mom. I have 3 cats, and I have a team of 12 people, which consists of designers, UX guys, strategists, and we have something called strategic creatives, which means guys who are in between the strategy, in between the UX, and in between the big idea and the brand. So let's talk. What are we going to talk about today? I'm going to talk about brand strategy, and I think it was a fairly provocative topic to say, who the fuck cares? And I will elucidate now to all of you and correct you. I'm not against brand strategy. On the contrary, I think there is a lot of misconception and a lot of thoughts that it's not needed on the developer side, nor is it needed for technical agencies. Even the digital agencies don't give a flying fuck about brand strategy. The only thing that they care about is the color right, or am I using the logo in the right proportion, and do I have the right bleed around it? And I think this is the complete wrong approach to brand strategy. What I'll start off with is I'll do a 2-minute history lesson for you guys. So if we go back to 1820, 1840, was the Industrial Revolution. So maybe most of you know what the situation at that time was. Everyone was producing like hell. So basically what happened was, from being a producer who does everything by hand, we went to mass production. So any kind of product could be amplified in a short period of time. You could copy products much faster. And what happened? If we take a simple FMCG product like soap, let's imagine the situation in a store in 1840. So basically everyone could do the same soap. It may be varied in consistency a bit, it may be varied in a bit of smell. It had always the same functional benefit. It cleaned your hands, cleaned your face. It was mostly wrapped around in a foil paper, whatever. No one really could distinguish between this soap or that soap. They all did the same thing. So tell me, in a situation where you can produce shitloads of soap, how do you sell this soap instead of that soap? That's the problem. And what happened during this time is the brand, as it was known and as it's known today, was invented. So what is a brand? A brand is something immaterial that you attach to the product itself. So it began with putting a logo, it put a few colors, maybe there's a lady washing her hands in front of a mirror. This was visual treatment that was added to the product. Then came slogans, then came communication around people who endorsed products. So, I don't know, Johanna Tukiainen saying that she really likes the Victoria's Secret's underwear. And so this was basically the idea why was the brand as it is needed. So it was basically to distinguish and separate ourselves from the competitive context so that we can gain market share. Very logical. The problem here is that we're talking about immaterial things, things that don't actually exist. They don't exist, they exist in the thoughts. And that's probably why it's going to be difficult for you guys to work with this shit, because it's not something tangible and you cannot falsify it. So if we talk about how. So basically what often is done is, okay, I have a product and I need a brand strategy for it. Even if it's Coke, it is a soft drink and we produce it and it tastes good. It has sugar, it takes your thirst away. But what do we add to it? What is the story that needs to be told so that you buy Coke instead of Pepsi? And that's what a brand strategy is. It's basically a documented pathway that tells you what is it that we are trying to do here. So it tells you what the brand should offer, to whom are we talking, why are we the way we are, and how do we differentiate ourselves from the competition. So if we take two short examples, let's look at Volkswagen, for example. The interesting part for me here is that I think these are so-called brand attributes. So they are words or attitudes that are associated to this vehicle. So if we would compare all the different cars in this size, we would say, okay, this particular car, it's every man's car, it's family oriented, it's safe, it has quality, it is comfortable, and it is very German. What's interesting is that it might seem like, oh, but all the cars do this, or everyone talks about these same things. And that's the interesting thing about brands, is that even though this product has these brand attributes, a similar product, but in a totally different category, might have almost exactly the same brand attributes. So Knorr chicken noodle soup is for everyone. It's family oriented, it's German, it has quality. Here we talk about ease of use and quickness. Schnick schnack, I have a food. And so I think what's important to understand is that the attributes or the brand as it's defined in one dimension, it's not something miraculous that the agency or the client will bring you and say, you never heard these words before, never. And then you'll go, Jesus. The thing is that it's about the context where you bring the brand out and who you're competing against. So what I wanted to do today is basically take a case, and because I knew that the target group is mainly men, so I wanted to do something that would at least give me some mercy points, even if the topic is fairly unattractive. So I want to do a case from, maybe you know the lingerie brand Agent Provocateur, and let's start with what this particular brand would offer. So for those who don't know the brand, tits. So what they offer is lingerie, nightwear, swimwear, beauty and luggage. So in the brand strategy, this is the offering. They tell you, this is what we do. But then again, also Prisma sells something of these, as well as Victoria's Secret. H&M does it as well. So, okay, where's the competition really? That's the point blank, blatant offer. Well, who's the target group? And if we go back to how brands are described by market research and, you know, maybe TNS Gallup and Forrester and such, it is a very, very traditional segmentation way. It's done by large quantity research. They ask 20,000 people via internet form, or they fill in a paper, or they do a focus group, whatever. And usually it's very, very generic. So what happens is often something like this. And probably, or hopefully you've also encountered some of this target group data or some of the data that defines who you're talking to. So usually it's on this level. Women everywhere over 30 who dare. There's already a little bit of attitude in here. Usually the demographic is very, very strict in the sense mid to high income, urban women, mostly double income, no kids. What I think, especially working in a digital agency, this is bullshit. This doesn't tell me anything about who I'm talking about or who I'm talking to. So what we usually do when we get a paper like this from the client saying, oh, this is the target group and they use Facebook. What we do is qualitative. So we do a lot of social listening to understand sort of the usage and attitudes. And here again, I find that even that is too narrow, because if we do a so-called UNA study on these women, and we just focus on the topic of lingerie, then we are again in a very, very narrow category. We don't know anything more about their attitudes towards life. Would they, for example, do they drink champagne or do they drink vodka? Do they drive a Volkswagen or do they drive a Mini? It doesn't tell me anything more about the attitude, because the attitude helps me in the delivery on my end product. It helps me to show, do I need to be super daring or is it more something subtle? So I find that these kind of segmentation models, it's a good basis. It gives me an indication who I'm talking to, but it doesn't fulfill sort of the end understanding of who these women really are. So let's go back to agent provocateur and say why. Why do we exist? So there is something in the brand strategy called a reason to believe. So what is the reason for this company to exist? Why us? And for agent provocateur, it's the following. Again, pay attention to the visuals. We believe in beautiful design and in exceptional quality, provocative, but always leaving something to the imagination. Agent provocateur has a very British sense of style and humor. So that would be how the brand defines itself. And I think now we're getting to the most interesting part, and to the part that I hope will give you something today to work on. So if we say how we differentiate ourselves from the competition, what we need to start with is a quite simple thing, and it seems like, yeah, we can do it, everyone can do it, but I challenge you, do you do it? So when we think about any of your clients, do you know their primary and secondary competitors? Do you know their digital competitors? And this is for me an exercise that I cannot work on a strategy unless I know this shit. Not on a digital strategy, nor can I work on a brand strategy unless I know who I'm competing against. I'll give you an example. A year ago, a startup came to us. They had invented a pen that vibrates. It was for small kids when they try to learn to write. And it vibrates when you misspell, for example, or if your handwriting is ugly or it's not legible. And they came to us and said, everything's fine, we're going to put it into MediaMarkt and Saturn, which is like expert. And we went, really? Yeah, it's a gadget. Super cool, 99 euros, bam, we're selling it. And they wanted a brand strategy from us because then they wanted the whole shop and, I don't know, internet from us. And what we did was basically we clustered their competitors. And what we came up with, and it was a really, really mini budget, so it's not like we had a lot of time to do research, but we identified their competitors are the home tutors, so the women who go home to the kids and teach them how to write. The traditional books, so here is a learn how to write a book, and a traditional pen. The Nintendo DS, for example, has stuff like this. There are a lot of toys that allow kids to learn to write. There's a lot of apps out there. Our price point in this particular project was super, super high. We were 99 euros. And if you compare to the competitors, there are things like the mothers and fathers feel guilty because they give the iPad to the kid. Completely viable or an important thing to think about when you think about where you sell it. So on top of it was a difficult price point. The competition was not assessed correctly. They wanted to put it in a place where only the men would find it. And if you can actually tell me where in Saturn or at Expert you would try to buy this tool or this pen, there was even not a category for it. So this was where we said, okay guys, let's take 10 steps back and let's think about what is learning for the child. So there the direct and the secondary competitors, they did not feel that they were actually competitors, but they all were. And I think especially in digital, the more we work on digital products, I worked the past 4 years for a skincare brand called Syksyn. And it's a product or a brand that is sold in the pharmacy, and it's mainly for fucked up skin. And so the client always said, yeah, our competitors are Aivan, La Roche-Posay, Vichy, nothing more. And we went, really? When we looked at the digital competition and we looked at where did our target group go online, they went to NetDoctor, they went to WebMD, to Wikipedia to read about acne, not about the fucking product. And so the hierarchy that we built for them was that we go content heavy first, because that's how we get our consumers, and then, by the way, we've got a product. And what we did additionally, we sort of tricked everyone, was that we basically created content around all the options for treating skin. So anything from laser peels to different kind of active ingredients, anything like this, and then the product was there. But it was like a soft sell. And this is, it's taken me now 4 years for them to understand how we are still, like in backlinks we can't compete with NetDoctor, for example. It's like not possible. We can't compete in a lot of things. What we've done though is we've identified the digital competition and we've put them as our digital sort of benchmark, not the direct competition, even though they sell more SKUs in the pharmacy. And so for me, this is really important from my perspective of what you need to do when you work on your clients, is to identify who is doing the same shit, who is doing something similar, and who is just a digital competitor. And if we go back to the underwear, what it would be then for Agent Provocateur would be Chantel, Triumph, Mary Jo, all of these brands, they would be direct competitors. But then on the other hand, like I said earlier, you can buy a similar product with a similar look and feel at H&M. And therefore, you need to identify when would a user buy me and when would they buy from H&M. So again, this is something that will help you understand the mind of the consumer, because it doesn't mean that if they buy me, they would never buy any of the other ones. For example, for the cream brand, there is a lot of our clients or the end consumers who they buy us for their body, but they buy another brand for their face. And we need to identify what is the link, why am I not getting through from purchase intent to purchase? They want to buy Eucerin, but they don't buy the face product. So if we then look at the competition, again, just chosen for you guys. So this could be sort of an idea of that you sketch up the look and feel of the competition. So if the brand strategy doesn't tell it to you, then you should always do some kind of rough audit on what's the ballpark I'm playing in. So here, if we would take out the keywords, we can argue these, but I'm the strategist, so I know better. So it's traditionally yet sexy, naughty but nice, it's very female, but it's very wearable. So if you compare it to the other underwear that I showed you earlier, it's just strings and bits and pieces, which is more sort of something that has to do with a special occasion. So what we could then conclude is that the brand essence of Agent Provocateur is that they empower women to celebrate and enjoy their sensuality. That could be the core of this brand. And what I would like to talk about now is how do you know, or based on what do you make your choices when you are, I know you have digital agencies, or you have the client who does maybe some parts of the UI, I don't know. But how do you verify, falsify, what is sort of the bare minimum of what you need to develop? I'll call it MVP, whether it's not it, but basically how I think about it is when we do products or projects within Robinizers, every time we do something, we do a UX audit. So what we do is we have a look at how many breakpoints, is it responsive, do they have an app, whatever, blah. Basically what we do is we do sort of a bare minimum of if you want to be within that category on a okay level, this is what you need to do. If you want to be on a little bit better, and no, I don't have any clue of loading speeds and shit like that, but hopefully the other guys do. But basically what I want to create is for the client a pack where you can go and say, this is what you need if you want to be in the category on the same level as the competition. If you want to be fucking awesome, you need to do this. And then the project people can put numbers behind it. But this gives an indication for the client. Otherwise, it's just your gut feeling, or it's just your personal opinion of what it should be. Then there is another topic that I think that is because we've talked about the history of the brand. So it started with not having anything, then it came logos, and then came a bit of color world. At the moment, every brand will deliver a design guideline for you. It will tell you, this is what the button looks like, I want this and that. But my big question is, and this is something I'm fairly passionate about, is how does the brand transform into behavior? how can the brand own certain gestures or animations, or how can the brand take sort of the behavior into the brand core? Because what I find often is that UX and developer guys talk to client, and client says, yeah, but where's my blue? And the UX guys, it's above the fold, it's above the fold. And the language is completely different. They don't talk about the same stuff. So what I try to do, at least in my team, is that we try to bridge the gap in between these two people, because there is a reason for having a brand, there is a reason for guarding it. So what's important for me is that when you work further on your projects is to go back to what is the brand essence? Who are we competing against? Why are we the way we are? And really sort of take 2 steps back, and it's so easy to develop mediocre shit, and everything looks the same. All the typography is the same. Like if we look at brands without their digital presence, they are very, very different and they're very unique. In digital, everything starts blending together, and like if you would take the skin away, the functions are fairly the same. And I really challenge all of you guys to do a shift in this, because I believe that the brand experience as it is could be transferred into functionality, into smartness, into translation of the brand itself. And therefore, I have one more question, is if you don't know what you're competing against, how do you know what to develop? So I really think you guys should, even if the client doesn't pay, take a audit in the sense of like having an understanding of what we're competing against, and then boldly go and ask the client. I bet no development agency has ever asked for the brand core. So this is kysymyksiä. Okay, no one laughed. Nyt voidaan vaihtaa suomeksi. Vetikö hiljaiseksi?
Sellainen, meneekö noi niin normaalisti noi niin brändäykset, niin onko ne aina suoraan sille niin loppukäyttäjälle tai sillain, että onko niin mä mietin tossa noin, että ne vois olla jopa sillain, että ne vois olla miehille suunnattuja vaihtoehtoja. Niin tavallaan kuinka paljon niin semmoinen niin osuutta tai ajatellaanko sitä ollenkaan?
Se varmaan riippuu siitä, että kun ajatellaan Niveaa esimerkiksi, niin Nivealla on niin mother brand, on se pyöreä sininen rasia, ehkä tunnette. Ja se on niin tavallaan se all purpose cream on kaikkien Nivea-brändien äitibrändi. Mutta sitten on Nivea Men. Ja kyllä Nivea Men näyttää ja tuntuu erilaiselta. Mutta se lähtee hirveän paljon siitä, että mä en lähtisi niinku muokkaamaan sitä tavallaan äitibrändiä, vaan niinku kohderyhmittäin, ellei puhuta kommunikaatiosta. Koska kommunikaatio on sitten se, missä voidaan laittaa siihen vaikka taas Johanna Tukiainen ja sitten Nivean logo. Tavallaan, että sit siinä voi niinku... Mutta kyllä se, siis tavallaan niinku se brand guardianship, kyllä se pitää niinku lähteä yhdestä jutusta. En mä tiedä, vastaako se sun kysymyksiin. Vähän se. Niin.
Oliko se tuossa pari slaidia taaksepäin, mutta se mainitsit niinku behavior, niin miten se tuodaan? Kuka sen sinne tuo?
No me ollaan niinku developattu sitä tuonne Nivealle nyt yhdessä projektissa tavallaan siitä, että UX:n briefi oli se, että niiden brand strategy tuli mun pöydälle ja mä identifioin sieltä asioita, en siis koko sitä lätkää, koska eihän se koko yksi paperi tai se koko asia, ei me tarvita sitä siihen behavioriin, mutta tavallaan yritettiin identifioida käytösmalleja ja millainen käytös, miten käytös ja se niinku brändin arvot, miten ne menee yhteen. Se on aika mun käsittääkseni uutta, että en mä ole niinku nähnyt sitä ainakaan vielä, mutta niin kuin sanoisin, että se on ehdottomasti tulevaisuutta, koska siis jollain tavalla pitää, kun kaikkihan swipaa nyt esimerkiksi, kukaan ei omista swipaamista, mutta voisi olla ehdottomasti erilaisia gestureita, mitä brändit vois omistaa. Hyvänä esimerkkinä, kun me tästä sisäisesti keskusteltiin jo, että vähän sama asia, kun te menette vaikka McDonald'siin, niin joku ottaa sen pussin ja ne rullaa sen tälleen. Se voisi olla gesture, minkä McDonald's omistaa. Niin kuin tavallaan lähtee sieltä ja sitten miettii, että mitä se on niin kuin digissä. Ei nyt tarvitse, että siellä animoituu niin kuin se pussi, mutta voi. Mutta tavallaan, että lähtisi niinku miettimään sitä sieltä, että onko jotain uniikkia, mitä me voidaan omistaa. Eikä tietenkään sillä tavalla, että se on päälle liimattua, mutta Mut varmaan kun enemmän mennään palveluihin ja semmoiseen niin kokemukseen, niin kokemushan ei ole vaan sitä, että kaikki klikkaa ja kaikki on samalla tavalla. Silloin me tehdään vaan tarjoustavalla. No, voidaanko nyt olutta sitten?
Ja Magraa.
Magraa. Onko muita tunteita?
No semmoinen vielä, jos voin
Joo.
Mun tuli alussa mieleen, kun sä sanoit, että se oli niinku, että on se tuote ja sitten sen jälkeen tuli industrialisaatio ja sitten olikin näitä niinku immateriaaliasioita. Mun tuli mieleen semmoinen, että eikö se ole tavallaan niinku huijausta? Niinku, tää on vähän provokatiivinen kysymys, mutta miten sä niinku näet sen, että jos se oikeastaan se brändi ja se muu niin ei niinku, tavallaan tai se tuottaa lisää arvoa, mutta eikö se ole niinku tavallaan semmoista niinku kupla-arvoa sille? Niin. Onko se huijausta?
Toisaalta, siis no kyllä, ehdottomasti
Se on vähän vaikea mitata, mitä se tuottaa lisäarvoa. Jos se ihminen antaa rahat siitä ja toinen puolet halvempi, niin kai se tuottaa sille sitten jotain lisäarvoa.
Joo, totta kai
Sitten se ei ole huijausta.
Niin, no en mä tiedä, onko se noinkaan, koska kyllähän se tavallaan on edelleenkin huijausta. Mutta mietitäänpä niitä Eucerinituotteita esimerkiksi. Siis Nivealla ja Eucerinilla on monissa tuotteissa niin kuin ihan samat ne niin kuin active ingredientit, eli siis ne vaikka ryppyvoiteessa on hyaluronihappoa. Mutta price pointti Niveassa on 4-5 euron ympärillä, Eucerinissa ollaan nopeasti 30. Että tavallaan toki siellä on niinku, sen takia on niinku brändistrategiassa on functional benefit ja emotional benefit. Että tavallaan on niinku kaksi, että on se raaka ja puhdas se, että mitä se tuote tekee, mitä se voi saada aikaiseksi. Mutta kyllähän niinku jos ajatellaan kaikilla teistä, joilla on tyttöystävä, että te viette niinku Nivean rasvan kotiin, niin kyllähän se on silleen, että joo, kiva, että toit. Mutta tavallaan sä viet vaikka sitten Lancomen rasvan, niin jostain syystä, vaikka se olisi saman hintainen, niin se tuntuu hirveän paljon arvokkaammalta. Ja tavallaan sehän on se, ehkä miksi se on aika fasinoivaa ja sillä tavalla niin kuin kiinnostavaa, tai mua kiinnostaa kauheasti se, että miten voidaan johonkin purnukkaan, missä on tavallaan sama mönjä, niin miten siihen voidaan ladata kaikkea sellaista, mitä siinä ei oikeasti ole. Miten joku ihminen voi kokea, että vittu nyt on hyvä olla, kun mä sain tän?
Entäs mä itse mietin niinku tupakkaa, se on aika hyvä esimerkki. Sehän on, joka ikinen pötkylä on täysin samanlainen riippumatta siitä brändistä. Ja sitten ihmiset säännönmukaisesti ne on ihastuneet johonkin brändiin. Täällähän ei nyt toki, se on jännä nähdä, että ihastuuko nuoret ihmiset johonkin tupakkabrändiin vielä, kun niitä askeja ei näe missään.
Joo, mutta nehän näkee niitä.
Olen lopettanut liian pitkään aikaa, kyllä ne maistuu edelleen.
Niin ja mä näin eilen, että oli kans sellainen, missä painetaan klik ja sit siinä on niinku, sit se jotenkin aktivoi sen semmonen klikmekanismi.
Niissä on 3 eri makua yhdessä sätkässä.
Siellä on monta kertaa.
Klikkiin liittyen oli pakko tänään ostaa double kick.
Niin, mutta tää on itse asiassa erittäin mielenkiintoinen juttu kanssa tää, että tavallaan kun mietitään niinku tuotteiden markkinointia, niin useinhan tuote on sillä tavalla, että ajatellaan vaikka, että otetaan vaikka tällainen rasva nyt. Niin kun tää lanseerataan, niin tästä voidaan sanoa, että ihan uudet mekanismit ja ihan älytön siis kombinaatio. Nyt lähtee rypyt per heti. Ja tätä kommunikoidaan tavallaan sitä ensimmäistä, kun se on kekattu, että siinä on nyt tämmöinen functional benefit. Nyt lähtee kaikki pois. Sitten, mitä sitten kommunikoidaan seuraavana vuonna? Sitten ei ollutkaan enää mitään sanottavaa. Että tavallaan jos te mietitte yhtään niin kuin markkinoijien tapaa kommunikoida, niin me ollaan vielä semmoisessa launch communicationissa aina. Sitten ne kutsuu sitä second year support, joka tarkoittaa sitä, että seuraavana vuonna siellä on vaan sitä apteekissa enää joku lipareissa lukee, että hyvä, mutta ei niin halpa. Että tavallaan siitä ei enää osata, niin kuin, että ei osata kommunikoida mitään muuta kuin sitä functional benefittiä. Paitsi sitten ehkä L'Oreal, missä on, että I'm worth it. Että tavallaan niin kuin musta on hirveän mielenkiintoista itse se, että kun tuotteenhan pitäisi täyttää joku tarve. Ja sitten jos se tarve on, että mulla on rypyt, niin se on jännä, että sitten puhutaan kuitenkin aina niistä niin kuin siitä functional benefitistä, että siellä on joku hirveän hyvät, en tiedä, tahnat sisällä. Mut mua kiinnostaa se, että miten tuohon voi ladata tuohon purkkiin kaikki ne tunteet. Ja sehän on se iän kaikkinen kysymys. Ja varmaan niinku mainontahan parhaimmillaan on sitä, mikä lisää noihin kaikki ne attribuutit. Ja mä oon sitä mieltä, että tavallaan digitekemisessä niin me ei osata vielä lisätä niitä attribuutteja tuohon. Tai me ei osata niinku kylkeä siihen johonkin VR-verkkopalveluun, niin se on vaan se on siinä. Mutta ei siitä tule mitään ympäristöystävällinen, mitään VR:n attribuutteja tule siitä palvelusta. Siellä on vihreitä, mutta niinku siinä se on. Se olisi niinku hirveän paljon, se on niinku mielenkiintoista, miten tämän jytkyn saa siihen kiinni. Ja kuka asiakas on osaa ostaa sellaista, on se isompi kysymys.
Miten sitten niinkö, sä puhut aika paljon tämmöistä fyysistä tuotteista, niin miten se suhteutuu vaikka tämmöisen niinkö esimerkiksi ohjelmistokehityspalveluiden brändäämiseen ja myymiseen?
Niin, joo, mutta siinä on mun mielestä just se pointti, että tavallaan, että mun mielestä ne ei sillä tavalla niinku poikkea, koska tuotehan sekin on, mutta se on vielä enemmän kokemusperäinen, että tavallaan siinä vielä enemmän pitäisi niinku pystyä viemään sen brändin sitä spirittiä. Ja tavallaan niinku musta on hirveän oikeasti henkisesti ahdistaa, kun meille tulee välillä asiakkaita, jotka on ihan, että no tehdään nyt verkkokauppa. Ja sitten kun mä kysyn, että no voidaanko katsoa sitä teidän brändiä, että tavallaan millainen te ootte, ja niinku, että ei ole. Ei meillä semmoista mitään paperia ole. Että tehdään nyt se verkkokauppa. Että tavallaan sit kun lähdet miettimään, että no, mutta miksi kuka ostaa sun verkkokaupasta? Miksei ne osta Amazonista? Että kaikki tietää, miten Amazon toimii, kaikki tietää, kuinka nopeasti saat. Joo, ei ole nätti, mutta hyvä. Tavallaan siinä niin pitää just niin lähteä miettimään sitä, että varsinkin tuollaisessa tilanteessa, jos se brändin pitäisi niin edustaa sitä jotain, ja sitten sieltä pitäisi vielä saada nopeasti. Eikö kukaan ole eri mieltä?
Mä voin olla eri mieltä.
Okei. Okay. Niin kuin silleen geneerisesti vaan jostain tietysti.
Piste. Ja yleisesti on vaan eri mieltä.
Joo.
Niin kuin kaikista.
Joo. Okei. Okay. No, otetaan sitten muutama oluen jälkeen tuossa ulos.
Se on Ville osa sun brändiä.
Mut toi on itse asiassa mielenkiintoista, koska ihmisiä voidaan myös lisätä brändiin. Miettikää nyt jotain jyrkisukulaa.
Itse asiassa eri mieltä brändi on Vesalan hallussa.
Sekin on mielenkiintoista.
Niin.